Plenty of wrestlers got billed as dangerous. Abdullah the Butcher had the fork. The Sheik threw fireballs. Jos LeDuc was different. There were moments you genuinely weren't sure where the character ended. This was a man who walked onto television carrying an axe, cut his own arm open during an interview, and became one of Jerry Lawler's most dangerous rivals. Decades before wrestling companies spent millions manufacturing believable monsters, LeDuc built one out of a shaved head, a beard, a flannel shirt, and the feeling that he might actually do what he was threatening. Almost everything about him started with a lie. Jos LeDuc wasn't even Jos LeDuc. He was born Michel Pigeon in Montreal, Quebec on August 31st, 1944. Before wrestling, he studied judo and worked for the Quebec provincial police. In 1965, he met wrestler Paul LeDuc, who talked him into it. Wrestling did what it does best. It invented a family. Michel Pigeon became Jos LeDuc, sold to fans as Paul's brother. He wasn't. Big beards, flannel shirts, a look borrowed from Yukon Eric. Two men who seemed to have walked out of a logging camp and into a ring. It worked through Canada, Stampede Wrestling, and feuds with the Rougeaus and the Vachons. The fake brotherhood held up so well that fans never doubted it, not until decades later, after Joe died. By the early 70s, LeDuc was an attraction on his own. Thick, powerful, a face that could go from calm to unhinged in seconds. In Florida, they called him the Canadian Freight Train, and that's where he found Dusty Rhodes.
Contact Mr. Rhodes and tell Mr. Rhodes that the freight train, Jos LeDuc, is back in Florida and I am in tip-top shape.
In 1973, Joe and Paul beat Rhodes and Dick Slater for the NWA Florida Tag Team title. That February, Joe beat Rhodes himself for the Florida Southern Heavyweight Championship. Then the madness moved north to Memphis. Memphis wrestling ran on emotion. It needed Jerry Lawler, a TV studio, Lance Russell with a microphone, and somebody scary enough that people would pay to watch Lawler fight him. LeDuc was perfect for it. In August 1978, LeDuc sat down with Russell, furious at Lawler, and explained an old lumberjack tradition. When lumberjacks swore an oath, they marked themselves so they'd never forget it. Then he produced an axe and cut himself. For real. Blood ran down his arm while Russell stood next to him. Lawler said later there was no special effects plan. LeDuc had simply told them he knew what he was doing. Picture watching that in 1978. No internet to explain how wrestling worked. 2 days later, Lawler had to fight him. On August 7, 1978, in front of a reported 8,700 fans, LeDuc beat Lawler for the Southern Heavyweight Championship. They traded it twice more within a month. Even that got overshadowed by the axe. Most crazy wrestling characters perform insanity. LeDuc seemed willing to prove it. Dutch Mantel said it plainly. If a man would cut himself open with an axe, what would he do to somebody else? LeDuc worked nearly everywhere. Florida, Tennessee, the Carolinas, Puerto Rico, Japan. He wrestled Abdullah the Butcher, Terry Gordy, and Jimmy Valiant. New city, new microphone, same glare. That was territory wrestling, and LeDuc was built for it. LeDuc's body had taken a beating for decades, and he was also dealing with complications from diabetes. He returned to Memphis one last time in 1995, teaming against Lawler. Lawler pinned him. In 1999, visiting his son in Atlanta, LeDuc reportedly slipped in the shower and was injured. An infection developed, and on May 1st, 1999, Jos LeDuc died. He was 54. Only then did fans learn he wasn't Jos LeDuc at all. He was Michel Pigeon, and Paul had never been his brother. Jos LeDuc probably couldn't exist in wrestling today. Somebody would post his real name within the hour. The mystery wouldn't survive 5 minutes. Brock Lesnar can still make people believe a fight might turn real. Matt Hardy built a gimmick out of blurring where the character ended. Neither needed an axe to do it. LeDuc came from a time when a wrestler could show up with an invented name, an invented family, an invented past, and if he sold it well enough, people believed him. Hero or villain, he could walk into a new territory and be terrifying almost immediately. Plenty of wrestlers have played Madman. Jos LeDuc made people wonder if he was playing at all.